Good evening from Port St. Lucie. This is Professor Tefero for Lesson 8 of Western Response to the Belt and Road. And tonight's lesson is our first lesson on actual Western responses to the Belt and Road incursions. Now, these responses include two major categories. The first major category are countries. What will the country responses be? And then the second major category are multinationals, the top 500 companies in the West. What will their response be? Let's look at the countries first, and then we'll check out what the multinationals may or may not do. For tonight, we're going to analyze the maritime route and the market shares that may be impacted by China in the maritime route. First of all, the West has some investment in Vietnam and in Singapore, and they will have to take care of those investments by offering Vietnam and Singapore alternative economic favorable deals that do not include military or internal interference. Um, the prospects of that are very dim because Vietnam knows what side of its bread is buttered on. They have a much longer history with China than they do with the West. The only experience they have with the West is France and the United States, and those are very unpleasant experiences for them. They tend not to trust those two countries, so they don't trust China either, but it's the lesser of three evils. So they'll probably go with China, and there won't be much of a chance for the West to make a economic alliance with Vietnam. The situation gets even much worse when we get to Singapore because Singapore is going to be loyal to the UK, and the UK is not going to be loyal to the West. It's not going to be loyal to the uh, European Union because it's not in the European Union anymore. And unfortunately, even though it's been a friend of the United States for a couple of hundred years, money talks and friendship walks. The the UK is going to do what's good for the UK economically. They can use the billions and billions of dollars of trade that will be generated by Singapore in the banking and insurance industries, and they will be fading away from the United States and the West and going closer to China. That's at least what I foresee. I could be wrong. You know, who knows? I've been wrong before, but the I see UK because of their interest in Singapore, um, partnering with their Singapore partners and making lots of money in the Belt and Road, going east, not going west. So we'll see what transpires there. As we go further along the maritime route, Sri Lanka um, would like to keep their independence from India, and they're going to cooperate with the Chinese as much as possible. They are not going to look at the West and say, oh, maybe you can offer us a better deal. Highly unlikely that that will happen. The same thing goes for Djibouti, Indonesia, Malaysia, all the people and all the countries that are involved in the Belt and Road will have a much better history and a much better deal from China than they're ever going to get from Australia, Japan, the United States, and other Western allies. Um, when we move up the Red Sea to Saudi Arabia, the East has already had its problems with the West, and while it wants to sell oil to the West, and it will continue to sell oil to the West, it will also be selling oil to China. That oil is going to go back to Oceania. It's not going to go on to the EU because the temptation to sell the oil to Germany is too great, and the Russians won't allow that to happen. The strategy of Saudi Arabia will be to sell to Chinese ships returning from the EU and going back down the Red Sea. I see them picking up lots and lots of oil on the way back, not going to the EU. unless they're going to drop off that oil in Eastern Europe or some other countries in Europe other than Germany. The next partner is Egypt, and Egypt is only there to collect money for the Suez Canal and to act as a storage unit for Chinese goods. They're not going to sell their soul to China. They're not going to sell their soul to the West. They'll probably remain neutral as much as possible. Uh, and then you have two other partners to consider, Italy and Greece. Now, Italy and Greece have traditionally been parts of the EU, and they're very loyal to the EU, but only to the extent where they make money. Um, if Greece starts to make lots and lots of money with the Belt and Road, they're going to go over to China and they will be out of the EU, and they don't care because they're not making any money anyway, being part of the EU. The same thing holds true for Italy, a traditional ally of the United States and the West, and a member of the EU. If Italy starts making lots and lots of money in the Belt and Road, they will have a tendency to become, at the very least, neutral uh, between the East and the West, which will be a major victory for Chinese international political standing. In any event, um, it all looks like roses so far, but things can turn very quickly in the world of economics. So lots of things can go wrong with the Belt and Road in the maritime route. But if even they are partially successful, there will be ramifications for the countries and the multinationals associated with the West on the maritime route. So keep that in mind, and next time we'll discuss the Southern Overland Route and its repercussions. This is Professor Tefero from Port St. Lucie, wishing you a happy and healthy night. See you next time.